Henry, for 20 years, from 1987 to 2007, you were the editor of the current Bibliography in the History of Technology for the Society of History of Technology. Why do you take on that project, and how do you determine what's credible, authentic, considering the proliferation of books, articles, blog posts that are unrefereed?
So if you asked me that question in front of a bunch of undergraduates, I would probably have to start by explaining what a printed bibliography was. Fortunately, I see enough gray hair around here that I don't think I'm going to have to do that. But maybe I'll backtrack a little bit to explain my background. I have a PhD in History of Science and Technology from Berkeley, and so that was my field. And my arrival at Stanford had to do with the fact that I was returning from doing my dissertation research. I'd lived a few years in Germany and needed a job. And it just happened that Stanford was starting History of Science, a philosophy and History of Science program here. So they decided that they needed to do some things in the library, and they needed a little bit of help with that. And this guy who's a doctoral candidate in History of Science and Technology shows up, so they gave me the lowest level of job to help the rare books curator deal with the Isaac Newton collection there. From that point on, it was pure luck. As this program developed at Stanford, the needs for library support for that, for building of collections developed, and there I was. And in the course of all of this, I completed my dissertation. I was going to the conferences and all of this, and got to know the leadership in the Society for History of Technology, which was responsible for the journal Technology and Culture, which I'm sure a number of you have read, which, until I left, published an annual bibliography. So that would be the year's publications in the field internationally. Now, I had always been interested in bibliography. When I was in grad school, I had talked over with my main advisor in the history department at Berkeley about my interest in not going into a traditional academic kind of job, but doing something related to libraries and so on. So he was also coincidentally interested in that sort of thing himself. He did a lot for the Bancroft Library at Berkeley. And so he was very open to, he had a seminar that was about bibliography. I don't think the other students were nearly as interested in it as I was, but we did that sort of thing. And so I had quite a good background in bibliography. I had the connections, and when the person who had been doing the bibliography, who essentially founded it, was ready to give that up, they knew about me, and Arnold Thackeray, actually, somebody we both know, fingered me as somebody who could maybe take that over. Now, and I was in the library. I was learning a lot about the bibliographic tools that libraries were developing. I'm sure many of you realize that the 1980s were incredibly exciting in libraries. The development of bibliographic retrieval tools, union catalogs, ways of describing archives, all kinds of things were proceeding along. And so I was just soaking this stuff up with a sponge, and I thought, that's something I can take what I'm learning from the library world, and I can start to bring this bibliography into that world, to use some of these tools and so on. So it was a combination of being interested in tracking what's going on in the field, and then also this desire to bring the bibliography into the modern library world. Now, as far as your question was, how do you judge this how do you judge what goes in the bibliography?
One of the main things that we're interested today, because we see so much work, at least I see so much work that's junk, that's regurgitation of what someone else says, or they got the facts wrong, or there's supposedly a book that's historically accurate but isn't.